Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's episode of Ask Eman Live. We're going to be here with you, brothers and sisters, over the next hour to take your questions and get them answered for you authentically according to the Quran and Sunnah by our Shaykh today. So the number to reach us on is the usual number on 0203 515 0769. Otherwise, you can send your questions to our WhatsApp number on 074 2239 8833. For everyone watching along on YouTube or Facebook, you're able to leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. So without further ado, I'll be your host for today, and joining us is Imam Wasim Kempson. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. How are you today?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very well. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, Shaykh.
Barakallah fik.
Getting used to a different studio.
Yeah, get used to the chairs, bro.
Yeah.
Put your foot down a bit, swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming around a bit.
Alhamdulillah. But I like the look a little bit, Shaykh, you know. You've got the TV screen behind us. All right, Shaykh. So as we start every show, I'd like to ask you for a short reminder, and then we can get started with some questions from our viewers, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. All praise belongs to Allah. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. To the brothers and sisters and the viewers at home, I say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As'alallah al-azim. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, that He protects us all and allows us to have patience and to be obedient servants in what is, of course, a very, very difficult time for many people on a number of different levels. It ranges from people being at home, not being able to leave, but alhamdulillah, they have their health, they have whatever they need to get by, and it also to being a bit more, more extreme, if you like, the situation where people are actually losing loved ones. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for all of those families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon all the Muslims who have passed away in the past week. Subhanallah, we've seen many doctors and some nurses even, and some youngsters. May Allah have mercy upon them all, make it easy for their families. Allahumma ameen.
Ameen.
And I think in the time that we have together here, it is very important for us to, where lots of information is coming to us from all different angles, forms of conspiracy theories, pieces of information which one minute seem concrete, 100% the way it is, and then it appears that's not the case at all. And this is the nature of social media, and a lot of people who are, getting their information, when they want their finger on the pulse to know what's going on, can be caught up in that. So it's very important for us as Muslims to be patient. And what I mean to be patient is not to rush into decisions, and not to rush into comments, not to rush into sharing things, and not to add to the hysteria. And we're still kind of in a situation where people are panicking, okay? Not to add to that situation. And if we look back to the pious predecessors, even back to the time of the companions, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them all, whenever there were times of fitan, confusion, that a lot of the companions radiallahu anhum would stay away from it. They would avoid it. And Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma is a very good example of that. That during the khilafah of, after the four Khulafa al-Rashidin, that during the khilafah of Yazid, that there was lots of fitna. And a lot of the companions didn't want to get involved in that. And quite rightly so, because that was their position. Not saying everybody has to do that, because some people have roles and responsibilities in the community. Okay, those are the movers of the shakers, those who are qualified to give fatwa or to give opinions and to guide Muslims and so on and so forth. Okay, of course, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma saw his position as just to stay away from the fitna because he didn't want to get caught up in it. And I think this is a good position for a lot of Muslims. And that is that with a lot that is going on, is just to take a back seat and don't feel as though you have to share, you have to involve yourself in everything. من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعني. From the good affairs of a believer is to not get involved in things that don't concern you. Okay, to know what is going on, but don't be the cause of causing panic to other people. Okay, and I think it is important for Muslims, and anyone really for that matter, is to really to pay attention to these things and not to make a very, very difficult situation even more difficult. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Our first question for today, Shaykh, is from YouTube, and it's from Brother Zain. The question is, Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to ask if we pray using surah, if we pray surah fast during namaz, is it okay? Or should we pray slow? Can we pray surah in one breath?
Okay, so there's about 2 or 3 questions here.
Yeah.
And if I can answer it with a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. That a man, he entered into the masjid, prayed, and then he came to sit next to the Messenger ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Irji' fa innaka lam tusalli." Go back and pray because you haven't prayed. So the man went back and he prayed again. And the same answer from the Prophet ﷺ was that go back, you didn't pray. And then after a 3rd time, the man said, "Ya Rasulullah, inni la uhsinu ghayra dhalik." I can't do any better than that what I'm doing. So here the Prophet ﷺ said to him and taught him, is a very, very famous hadith. And it is actually described the prayer of the one who prayed badly. And the name of the companion, his name is Khalad ibn Rafi' radiallahu anhu. That the Prophet ﷺ said that when you enter your prayer, there's a long-ish hadith, but on each occasion when there's a movement in the prayer, that you remain in that position, حَتَّى تَطْمَئِنَّ رَاكِعًا حَتَّى تَطْمَئِنَّ سَاجِدًا, that you remain in that position until you're calm. Don't rush your prayer. And remember who you're standing in front of. You're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no need for you to say something in one breath. I mean, Surah Al-Kawthar, the shortest chapter in the Quran, maybe you can say that in one breath if you want to say it continuously. Okay, fine. But it's good to pause after every ayah. Okay, not to rush don't rush your salah. But as long as you say it correctly, as long as you've done it, giving each part of the prayer its haqq, its right, then the prayer is valid. But you have to be careful not to rush your prayer so much that you make mistakes and that you do not allow yourselves to get in the particular positions of the prayer. This is where it becomes problematic. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Our next question, Shaykh, is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Am I allowed to brush using toothpaste whilst fasting any time of the day?
Okay. Again, in the sound hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Balighu fi istinshaqi illa an takuna sa'ima." That when you are making your wudu, is that you inhale and exhale water in your nose, and do that quite rigorously, except when you're fasting, to ensure that the water doesn't go down your throat and you end up swallowing it. So during fasting, there are some things you need to be careful of. Now, there is a view to say, of course, using the miswak is allowed for you to use while fasting. Does the toothbrush take the place of a miswak? Well, yeah, it kind of does. However, when you're using toothpaste, I would say it's better to use just a small amount. Don't use too much. Use a small amount and be very careful not to swallow any and to rinse your mouth appropriately at the end. And then that's fine, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Just a reminder to everyone watching at home that if you'd like to ask any questions, you're able to give us a call on the regular number that's on 0203 515 0769. Otherwise, if you're watching online on Facebook or YouTube, you're able to leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. So, and our next question for today, Shaykh, is Assalamu alaikum. I want to ask, how can you keep your spirit up when you're alone and feeling down, feeling the need to sleep more, even when fasting and doing adhkar during this lockdown? Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, so it is unfortunately the nature of the situation that the less you do, the kind of more lethargic and tired, not because you're tired, but you kind of feel like that, the urge to do less is more. You don't want to do very much. So what I would say is, and it may be something that you've never done and you've never done before, but none of us have been in this position before.
Yeah, exactly.
At least most of us. You might have to do something you've never done before, and that is set up a little routine for yourself. It might mean, and of course this is in line with government, as it stands at the moment, government advice, that you can do one piece of exercise a day. You might not have done that before. Why don't you do that? So do something like that if you can do it once a day, or 2 or 3 times a week, just to get yourself out doing something, and of course obeying those regulations. It might mean that You can sign up to an online course. You've never done that before. You've got a lot of time to do that now. Do that. Or it might mean, because maybe you like reading more, choose a couple of books. And of course, there's hundreds of books. Which book should I read? Choose the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. Start with that, okay? Go to the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, the sealed nectar. This is a good start. What else? Or listen to some lectures or do some benefit at home and things like that. There's a number of things you can do, but try to have a little routine and try to stick to that as opposed to having nothing and the week, instead of the days, a week becomes just like one block of time. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, Jummah just becomes like every 5 minutes because the weeks are just passing by. Don't have that. So try to be a bit more practical. Try to be a bit more, put a bit of effort in making some form of routine. And inshallah ta'ala, you find that you can benefit from your time bi'idhnillah ta'ala.
Thank you, Shaykh. Thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in with us so far. We're going to take our first break of the show and we'll be back after a few minutes to continue taking your questions and getting them answered for you by our Shaykh, inshallah. So for now, stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to today's Ask Eman live show. We're going to be here with you brothers and sisters up until 9 p.m. tonight. So for the next 45 minutes. So if you have any questions, give us a call on 0203 515 0769, or you can send your questions to our WhatsApp number on 074 2239 8833. And for those of us that are watching along on Facebook or YouTube, you're able to leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Welcome back after the break.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair. Our next question, Shaykh, is could our Shaykh comment today on whether visiting the sick, i.e. a COVID patient, would be an exception for the 6 rights of a Muslim which are visiting the sick? Which one of them is visiting the sick?
Yeah. Okay, so we know that the well-known hadith that the Prophet said, حق المسلم على المسلم ست, that the right of one Muslim over another Muslim is 6, and from them is عيادة المريض, and that is to visit the sick person. Now, if somebody has been hospitalized, you won't be permitted to visit them. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is that if somebody is having symptoms or has been diagnosed, I'm not sure how they're going to be diagnosed. I'm not sure how the testing is going, but
Yeah.
at least if they're showing symptoms, then the advice is to avoid that person should be isolating, and that you shouldn't visit them. So this is not an abandonment of the rights of Muslims, but it is a legitimate reason to put these matters on hold, meaning that if you had the opportunity, that you would visit them. So inshallah you'll be rewarded for that. But because of the situation as it stands at the moment, you're unable to do that. In the same context, we can say that Muslims who would regularly pray in the masjid, in Salatul Jama'ah, but for whatever reason, well, we know the reason, that the masajid are closed. But your intention is to go, but you can't because of the current situation, and that's the right decision. Allah Ta'ala will reward you for that what you used to do. Okay? So don't think that, all this is going on and, we're forsaking the rights of Muslims and I'm forsaking the right or the rewards. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed this. And Allah Jalla wa ala will reward those people who behave correctly, those who have the correct intentions and don't make the situation any worse. Okay? So we're not forsaking the rights of Muslims, but rather this is the right thing to do at the moment. So you don't visit them because we don't want the virus to spread any more than it is doing at the moment. And then once we have the opportunity to, once we're allowed, then you can re-establish this important sunnah, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you, Shaykh. Okay, so our next question is going to be from our caller. Assalamu alaikum to Brother Hussein from the Midlands. Welcome to tonight's show. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, Ahi, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum to all the brothers and sisters watching. And to the Shaykh as well, mashallah. Always a pleasure to see the Shaykh answer our questions, mashallah. Just wanted to ask tonight, Shaykh, we're at home at the moment and a lot of us, mashallah, are getting a lot of messages on our mobile phone. And recently, some of the messages that are coming through, they're not being verified. So wanted the Islamic perspective of how important it is to have the verification before actually posting messages and sending them on.
Okay. It's a very important question. And it's something which, as we go from one day to the next, as one piece of information can go viral, excuse the pun, very, very quickly. It can spread amongst thousands of people in the space of half an hour, and things like that. And then, it could be the case that that person or that piece of information isn't quite correct. Now, if we think about the intentions of brothers and sisters, and we're not questioning anyone's intention, and the origin is that we assume that the Muslims are trying to do good. And it's important as well to look at the standing of that individual as well. If we know that person to be a good individual, a good standing within the community, okay, we can make mistakes. It can happen. That doesn't mean that we just cast that person away, okay, or that person's reputation is suddenly in the gutter, okay. Like everybody in any situation, they want to be the first to tell others to do good or to stay away from something that's bad. This is a very good approach. But on the same token, if you like, you have to be very careful that what you are going to share. Because we live in a time where, you know, you mentioning something can cloud the understanding of not just 2 or 3 people, but thousands and thousands of people, and you don't want to be responsible for that. So at times, it might be just worth just hanging back a little bit. Just, if you've got, you know, to kind of, well, how are you going to verify that information? Try to verify it as much as you can, okay? And then you need to do what's necessary. It might not even, you know, you don't have to put everything on social media, okay? Sometimes, you know, it's worth doing that because you can contact a lot of people in one go. But not everything you do has to go on social media, okay? Not everything you eat, not everything you wear, the time that you woke up, the time that you went to sleep. People don't need to know that information, okay? So be careful, be very, very careful about the information that is being spread. You don't want to be the cause of any fitna or confusion, and that comes back to you. You just don't need that. You don't need that. So, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes just take a back seat. You know, you don't need to be involved in every single thing. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. I wanted to ask you, Shaykh, I hope, sorry, just to come back to Brother Hussein, I hope that answers your question. May Allah bless you for your call. For everyone watching at home, you're also able to give us a call by dialing 0203 515 0769. This will bring you into the studio to ask your question, as our Brother Hussein just done, inshallah. So, Shaykh, I wanted to ask you about being on our phones too much. It's something we speak about often here and there. But what does this do to our relationship with Allah? I'm just reflecting based on the lockdown and everything. And part of that, what I found personally myself is I'm on my phone less. Because I work from my phone a lot, so I'm working a bit less now because of the, you know, how the dynamics of my job. And just in general, I'm getting used to that. So even messages, I'm not feeling the need to reply to them instantly. As soon as I see something come up on my phone, reply. Social media is becoming less important. And I found this in turn has helped me, you know, with my relationship with Allah a bit better.
Good, okay.
So I wanted to ask you that, Shaykh. What does this do for those of us that might be at home, that we're actually filling our time with, being on our phones and stuff? What sort of damage can that just cause you? You know, we had one of the questions which asked, what if I don't feel like getting up out of bed and stuff? Can it push you towards these places of depression, maybe, stuff like that?
I think your position, you're a minority. You're one of the very few people who's using their phone and social media less.
I think because I'm tired of it.
But you know what? It's almost getting to that stage with some people that they've had so much contact with it, they just don't want to put it to one side. You know what? I think, and this is an ongoing study, I think with the advent of social media for the past 12 years, 13 years, and how it's constantly changing and how it impacts individuals and societies. This is ongoing, you know, research, I think, in the area of sociology and psychology and things like that. How does social media and having contact with people you know and people you don't know, thousands of people, millions of people, a few people, how does it impact an individual and what you're exposing yourself to? You know, there was a time where you would listen to the news just on the radio. It's probably before our lifetime. But then it, you know, developed into a television, and then there was a television for only a few hours in the day. You are now connected 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 if it's a leap year. So, or the other way, sorry. So, we're constantly attached to something, and that it's going to have an impact on you, no doubt. It will have an impact on you. Now, I think that because if a person is scrolling all the time, seeing clashes of views, saying that, saying this, saying that, saying this, you will be swayed one way. It's only natural. If you're exposed to ideas, you're going to be impacted by that. This is why I think it's good to kind of limit yourself, what you expose yourself to, and what you involve yourself to. The Prophet said that, you know, in a sound hadith, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ, that there are 2 blessings which people fall short in. الصحة والفراغ. Your health and al-faragh is like, essentially, if you want to call it free time.
Yes.
That you can wake up, whatever time you wake up, you know, if you stay awake after Fajr or you sleep after Fajr and you wake up 9 a.m. or a.m. or 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. And then you can be on your phone for 6 hours. You can be in front of a screen for 6 hours, 8 hours, and it's Maghrib time already.
100%, yeah.
In that time, how much could you, I mean, you have to be practical as well, and be realistic, okay? When you start giving people, you know, Quranic programs and hadith programs, and that's just not real for a lot of people, you know? But if you've got your device, a very simple thing is that you can find an application where it reminds you to read a verse of the Quran. It pops up. Have you read your verse today? So that's something good. If you're on your phone and sometimes you need reminders. So we should, if you're going to be using and you want to be in contact with the outside world and what's going on, try to have, as I mentioned earlier, some form of schedule or plan. You're going to do a few things per day and you can tick them off. And that way, inshallah, there's some form of injaz, there's some form of achievement on a daily basis. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in so far. We're going to take our next break now of the show for a few minutes, and then we'll be back. Once we are, you'll have the chance to give us a call and ask your questions on the usual number. That's 0203 515 0769. This and more details as to how you can send your questions or get in contact will be coming and going at the bottom left side of your screen. For now, stay tuned. Wassalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone watching at home, and welcome back after the break to today's Ask Eman live show. We're going to be here for the next 30 minutes up until 9 p.m. with you, brothers and sisters, to take your questions and get them answered by our Shaykh today, Imam Wasim Kempson. So the number to call us on is the usual number. That's on 0203 515 0769. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. So we have actually two callers waiting on the line. So we're going to go to our first caller. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you today?
And I'm calling from Canada.
Wow, mashallah, all the way from Canada. It's a pleasure to have you on the call. How are you today, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. We just prayed Dhuhr at home, but I had a question. Is it
Yeah.
permissible to pray Jum'ah at home?
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, bro. Thank you so much for your call. You can stay on the line until the Sheikh answers your question, or you can just stay tuned for the answer, inshallah.
Okay, so the situation we're in, where pretty much all masajid are closed, it's very common on the Friday for a lot of people to be asking that, seeing that we cannot pray Jumu'ah in the masjid, can we pray Jumu'ah in the home? The majority of the ulama that I've asked and come across are that of the view that you pray Salatul Dhuhr in your home 4 rak'at. There is a view that you can pray Jumu'ah at your home if you have 3 individuals. It's a minority view. I personally are of the view that you pray Salatul Dhuhr at home, but I respect that there's a difference of opinion on the matter, and some ulama may say otherwise, and each have their kind of point of view. It's a discussion, okay? It's not an absolute matter. It's black and white, yes or no. I'm of the view of the majority that you pray Dhuhr at home, and Allah knows best.
Thank you, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much to our brother who's called us all the way from Canada. We're going to move on to our next caller now. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show to our brother or sister. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Basingstoke.
Okay, welcome to the show. And your question?
My question is regarding my mom. She can't swallow saliva at all. So when she stands on salah to pray,
Yeah.
her mouth becomes full of saliva. And it's difficult for her to open her mouth to read. So she just told me sometimes she reads in her head, and I'm telling her I don't think that is right. So that's why I'm calling. In condition like that, what should she do?
So she has an illness that her mouth keeps building up saliva?
Yes, she have an illness. She can't swallow saliva. As soon as she swallows, she got problems. She got liver problem, and then
SubhanAllah. طيب.
a lot of
We'll
things.
answer this, inshallah. طيب. Okay, first of all, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for the sister, give her ease and shifa, na'afiyah, Allahumma ameen. So there is a very beautiful verse in the Quran where Allah Jalla wa Ala says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ, that you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can. And another verse is, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, that Allah Azza wa Jalla will never burden a soul beyond their capabilities. So ordinarily, if the person is able to physically and verbally recite the Quran, they are required to do that. If they are unable to do that, then they do the next best thing. And that would be to recite in your mind that you're going through the surah, okay? If you can partially say some words, okay, and the others that you cannot, then you say what you can, and the others, you continue the recitation in your mind. This is how it is. Just as the Prophet ﷺ said that صَلِّ قَائِمًا, that you pray standing. If you're not able to pray standing, then you pray sitting down. And if you're unable to pray sitting down, then you pray al jump, you pray on your side. So there is some flexibility based upon what you are able to do. Okay, the fact that if a person is incapacitated for whatever reason or is unable to do something, it doesn't mean that their reward is any less. Okay, they will have the same reward bi'idhnillahi ta'ala like the one who is actually reciting. But because they have this particular issue, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them the full reward bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So they do as much as they can. And Allah knows best.
Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you, sister, for your call. I hope that answers your question. We're going to move on now to our next caller, who is Brother Abdul Aziz. Welcome to the show. What's your question for us today?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, brother, I have one question. I need to know, I need advice from the Shaykh. What can we do while we are in lockdown these days in the home? No going to work, no going to mosque. Just staying home. What advice can Shaykh give us to do it?
From an Islamic point of view or what?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, inshallah. So, when being clever and inventive about things that you can do, maybe I'm not the best person to ask, because maybe a lot of people have lots of ideas that you can do home with yourself, with your family, with your wife, with your kids. I think that, you know, you should look at the situation where there are certain goals that I want to achieve, and there are certain different means that I can achieve that goal. I might say some things to you which maybe you don't really like so much. So what I can say to you is that main goals are, during this time where majority of people are in their homes, is to, for many parents, really to get to know your children. Yeah. Okay? So where they have, you know, busy lives at school or college or university, or, you know, when they're at school or whatever level of education they're at, they're spending a lot of time away from you. So maybe it's an opportunity now for you to sit down with your kids after Salah. Just sit down and say, what do you think, what's happening? What do you like? And instead of you telling them, this is what we're going to eat tonight, or this is where we're going tomorrow, get to know your children. Or not necessarily children, they might be adults. Get to know, well, from, of course, a parent's perspective, they are children to you. But that's one goal for you, to get to know your children. Yeah. It might be that you have very busy lives. Now you can do a piece of exercise a day. You're allowed to do that as it stands at the moment. Yeah. You can do that with your family, with one of your sons, if you want to go, or with your wife, go for a walk or something like that. And that all comes under what? Family bonding. Whatever you feel is that you all enjoy. Because, somebody might mention something that, you're not really keen on. But the point is to do something which are, family bonding kind of things. To reinstill good Islamic practices between yourself, educate yourself Islamically by whatever means that you can. Whether it's, if you feel comfortable reading the Quran together, do that. Or if you want to listen to a lecture together, do that. You want to put Eman channel on, watch TV, or listen to some beneficial lectures or something like that, do that. Yeah. Okay? Whatever is you feel is some form of benefit, and I think that the Muslims should share these ideas. What are they doing at home? How do they spend their time with their families? This is how we can help one another. Help one another with goodness and righteousness. Yeah. It's not about you have to, you have to think about the ideas about what to do. Maybe you can ask others. It doesn't need to be, me on a TV show here. What should I be doing? You could do anything you like, as long as it's some form of benefit. Have a little WhatsApp group with other family members. Maybe you can volunteer in the capacity which is allowed for us to do at the moment. Yep. Volunteer to do some good work that maybe you didn't have the opportunity to do before. So I think there's no shortage of things that you can do, although it's very easy for you to stay home and do absolutely nothing. So just the challenge is that much more actually, to stay when at home, not to do nothing. So, ista'in billah azza wa jal. Seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do what you can.
Thank you, Shaykh. We're going to go to our next caller now. Assalamu alaikum, to our sister on the line. Welcome to the show. What's your question for us today?
Wa alaikum salam. I just wanted to ask the Shaykh two questions. My first question is, if someone is disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can he dream about Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Because I had the impression of only righteous people see Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And my second question is, if you want to see Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what sort of deeds that you need to do?
Did you catch the second question, Shaykh? Yeah. Thank you so much, sister, for your call. You can stay on the line until you get your answer from the Shaykh, or you can tune in on the TV to listen to the answer, inshallah.
So firstly, a wrongdoer, well, it depends what level of wrongdoing you're talking about. All of us are wrongdoers. All of us are sinners. There's no one free from sin. But the level of sin that people are engaged in, yeah, it may differ. But, that person is a Muslim. It may be the case that person may see An-Nabi alayhi salatu salam in their dream. But what I would say is that it needs to be verified. Not just because the person thinks they saw the Messenger alayhi salatu salam, that in actual fact they saw the Messenger alayhi salatu salam, okay? Yeah. This is something very, very important. You need to verify and go to somebody and ask questions specifically who that you thought you saw. And then it can be verified, okay? So it is possible Allahu A'lam, a person doesn't have to be from the highest level of taqwa to have this. So we don't write people off like this. It could happen. Allah knows best. The second question I think we'll answer after the break, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Helping me out there. We're going to take a short break now, brothers and sisters, and we'll be back after a few minutes. So stay tuned. Once we're back, you're able to give us a call or ask your questions, inshallah. For now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone watching at home, and welcome to the final part of today's Ask Eman live show with Imam Wasim Kempson. So to give us your questions today, brothers and sisters, you're able to call us on the usual number on 0203 515 0769, or you can send your questions to our WhatsApp number on 074 2239 8833. For everyone watching along on Facebook or YouTube, you're able to leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. So before we go to our next caller, Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Welcome back after the break.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair. And with that, we'll go to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum to our brother that's on the line. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Saeed, calling from the UK. First and foremost, Jazakallah khairan for all the good you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
My question is regarding the people who are passing away in this predicament, Muslims obviously I'm talking about. According to the hadith, we understand that they have the equivalence of shuhada. Now, in terms of the rights of washing the bodies, what is the difference between these people and those, the shuhada who passed away, in the battles and everything? That's the main difference in terms of washing the bodies. My understanding is one group, you can bury them as it is, and this group here, they just have the equipment of the reward. Can you clarify that, please? And second question, inshallah, sorry about this, it's regarding Salatul Fajr. Again, my understanding is if you're traveling over 3 days and you know when you're going to return, let's say after 1 week, and you have your return ticket, then where you reach the destination, you become a resident. So that means you cannot shorten or combine the prayers. You just pray as normal and you fast if you can fast. But if you do not know your return date, then you qualify for all the benefits of Safar. Can you please clarify this for me? Jazakallah khairan.
You got that, Shaykh? Thank you so much for your call, brother. May Allah reward you. Brother's first question, Shaykh, was regarding the difference between burial when it comes to people that pass away from COVID, the virus, and shuhada.
Okay. So the martyr of the battlefield has rulings concerning how they are buried, janazah, washing, and so on and so forth. And as we know that they are not washed, the shaheed of the ma'arakah or the martyr of the battlefield. And the Prophet ﷺ also mentioned that there are other people who can be considered a martyr, a shaheed. And from them is a mat'oon, and there is also the one is mabtoon, and there is one al-maghruq. There is a person who is drowns, who is killed by fire, or who has a stomach disease, or who dies of a plague, or something like this. All of these come under the ruling of a shaheed. And this is a shahad al-ukhrawi. And this is the reward of the shaheed in the hereafter. However, the rulings pertaining to these, other than the one who dies on the battlefield, everybody else, is like everybody else, in that they will be washed, and that they are also shrouded, and they're prayed over, normally. Yeah. So this is the difference in terms of the rulings between the shaheed, whether they are from the one who's on the battlefield, and everybody else. Okay? That's the difference between the two, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you, Shaykh. Second question, yeah.
Okay. So the brother is talking about when a person is a traveler, and because when we're talking about the prayer of the traveler, there are different perspectives. The time, duration, where you're going. The brother is talking about the duration or the time that you are going to remain, or when you remain there and you know your return date. So if a person goes from one city to another city, from one country to the other country, and they've got a return ticket on a particular date. You know when you're going to return. And it is over, and of course this is an issue where the scholars have differed. Let's say we'll go with the view that is more than 4 days. And you're going to return in 10 days. We would say that, because you know you return, I'm returning after 10 days. When you arrive, you are a muqim, you're a resident, you're not a traveler. The time that you are traveling, yes. But when you arrive at your destination, you are considered a resident. Now, what about when I get there, I've got an open ticket? Or when I get there, my situation changes that I don't know when I'm going to return. It could be depending when I finish my work. And so therefore the date is unknown. In this situation, it is permitted for the person to remain as a musafir, because they don't know when they are going to return. And this was, and what we base this on, is the fact when the Prophet ﷺ, when he travelled in the 9th year after Hijrah to Tabuk, and he remained there, ﷺ, in riwayat, 17 or 19 days. But he wasn't sure as to how long they were going to stay there. The Prophet shortened the prayer during all this time, 17 or 19 days, and then returned, ﷺ. From this, the scholars have extracted that if you don't know your return date, you can remain as a traveler. There are some exceptions to the rule, by the way. For example, let's say there is a student at a university and they consider themselves, they go travel abroad and they're staying there for the majority of the year. And they say, well, I don't know when I'm returning. I might return in the end of May or the beginning of June, hypothetically. We would say, well, that's your residence now. That's your residence. Okay, that's where you live now. Okay, so and this is sometimes an issue that's brought up when a person travels for the purpose of studies. Say, this is my home. That's my home country, my home city, and I'm going to another place to study. The point is that you're spending 9 months there or 8 months there. That would be your home place, okay? And then you'd be considered a resident. This is a side issue, but I know a lot of people will ask about it. And what I said prior to that answers the question, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Thank you so much. Our next question is going to be from our brother Abdul Wahid, who's on the line right now. So, assalamu alaikum to brother Abdul Wahid. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I was listening to the caller from Canada who had a question about Salat al-Jummah, and I heard what the Shaykh said that about in relation to different schools or different ulama having different perspectives on it. However, his answer was, he basically said that from his perspective, if there's a congregation of 3 people, you could pray Salah together. So I wanted to ask, within the home, what if it's a mixed? So what if there are females in your family? Can that be still classed as Salat al-Jummah, or would it be, from your perspective, would it be just Zohar?
Okay.
Right, so I'll reiterate my answer a little bit clearer, actually. I am of the view that if there is 1 person or 10 people in your home, you should pray Salat al-Dhuhr. I'm of that view. You don't pray Jum'ah, okay? If a person takes the other view, and there's 2 men and a woman, okay, that's 3 people. Woman, it's not half a woman. It's not 2.5 people. This is not the issue of, testimony where there's some different rulings. No, 3 people are 3 people, okay? And that would be considered a jama'ah if you have that view. So, well, I'm of the view that you don't pray Jummah, as I said, but it's a valid view. No one's going to say that your prayer is invalid.
Yeah.
That you'd have to re-pray Dhuhr again. But just answering that brother's issue, that if there was like 2 men and 1 woman at home, then that would qualify for you to establish Jummah if you did that in your home. Allahu A'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much to brother Abdul Wahid for your call. Our next question, Shaykh, is going to be from WhatsApp, and question is it permissible, we've covered it, to pray Jummah from home? Yeah, I think it's brother Abdullah, that was actually from brother Abdullah from Canada earlier on message.
Okay.
Our next question is, Assalamu alaikum. Could the Shaykh explain the difference between the first and second mithl for the Asr prayer? If someone follows the Hanafi madhab, so they would follow the second mithl, does this mean if Asr has started according to the first mithl, am I pronouncing it right, Shaykh?
You are?
Yeah. Could they still pray Dhuhr at this time after the first mithl has started, and it would be valid?
Right. So with regards to the prayers during the day, we've got quite short on time actually, I think. Yeah. So there are 2 schools of thought as to how long the time for Salat al-Dhuhr will last. There is one view where the length of the shadow is equal to what it's measured by. That's not including, of course, what you're measuring by. The majority of the scholars. And then there's the Hanafi madhab, which doubled that. It's double that length. And there's a long discussion between the evidences on that. They're 2 valid opinions. If somebody follows the latter view, that the Asr time will come in at a later time, do I pray it earlier? Well, you should really adhere to that if that's what you follow. Unless you're put in a position where maybe there's a jama'ah elsewhere and you want to pray with the jama'ah somewhere else, or the masjid is establishing the Jum'ah or the Salah earlier. This is something we can answer maybe separately. But as it seems at the moment, you have that liberty to pray your prayers at your own volition when you're going to do that. So, you wait, and if you follow that madhab, and if a person follows that with evidence, asking people of knowledge, that should be respected. Okay, whatever madhab you do follow, and it is based upon evidence, following a person of knowledge, that should be respected. Okay, and it may differ from you, but it has to be respected. So if you happen to adhere to the Hanafi madhab and you start or Asr, which is later, respect that. And then pray Dhuhr, or rather pray Salatul Asr when it comes in, okay? As I mentioned, if there's exceptions to the situation, if you're going out working and whatnot, which everyone's on lockdown at the moment, that's not been happening, then maybe that can be discussed. We don't have time to do that. But if you happen to follow that, then you follow that, inshallah. If you follow the other one, then you can pray earlier. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in with us. This has brought us to the end of our show now. We're going to be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock, inshallah, live again for an hour. So if you have any questions or if we've missed any from today, we'll answer them tomorrow. For now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.